happened to me the other day. At the Piggly, standing in line, feeling nervous, waiting my time. Then a large can fell from my coat, so I shouted before they took note. Who threw that ham at me? Who threw that ham at me? Hey, please, did anyone see? Who threw that ham at me?
I want to go home now, you idiots.
Okay, disco garbage can. Yeah, flip your lid. Disco garbage can. Flip your lid. Yeah, get down. Alright. Twirl. Everyone twirl. So I turned and walked away. Like later on I would go and pay. Then it happened when I stopped. A frozen bird fell with a plop.
My family is waiting for me.
A frozen bird fell with a plop. Who flung this turkey at me? Who flung this turkey at me? What's going on? Didn't you see? Someone threw a turkey at me. Yeah, disco garbage can, everybody. Yeah, flip your lid. Disco garbage can. Yeah, do the disco garbage can. Who threw that ham at me? Who threw that ham at me? Hey, didn't anybody see? Who threw that ham at me? Who threw that ham at me? Disco garbage can, everybody. Yeah, get down. Yeah, that's really great. Yeah, go for it, baby. Yeah, that's really great. Well, everybody, I've made my scene here at the disco tonight, so I'm going on to the next disco. Hopefully, I'll see you there.
In the throes of these four rooms, bright and iron and withered fumes, far below these sinful means.
Hey guys, Dave Darren here. Good to see you. I got to tell you guys, I'm starting to look more and more like Wolf Blitzer. I've got the gray hair here. I'm looking like, plus I got a beard today too. I didn't shave yet. So I'm starting to look more like Wolf Blitzer, and I'm not on CNN, and I would not want to be on that CNN network, which I don't actually call a network. Didn't Trump say that earlier yesterday? I think Trump said he doesn't call CNN a network. But let me tell you guys what I got to talk about today. I'm in Arizona now, and I've got some friends in Arizona that are musicians, all right? Let me pull out what I'm going to talk about here. I'm going to pull my ugly Wolf Blitzer face away and go to this. All right, so here I've got Larry Holmes. Remember Larry Holmes, the boxer? How old is this guy now? Isn't he like in his 70s? In fact, I know he's in his 70s. So Larry Holmes, this is an article. It's in one of the news rags. One of the news rags that's called a rag. Larry Holmes, forget Jerry Cooney. I want to fight Trump. Now that is, you can take that as comedy. I guess you can take that as comedy, all right? Let me pull myself back here. Now, let me get back to, so I read that and I saw it and I thought, okay, this is somewhat childish. It's stupid to say this. You know, he wants to fight Trump now and he wants to come out of retirement in his 70s and fight Trump. And by the way, there's statistics that they're about the same height, 6'3", and about the same weight. So it would be a fair fight, right? Now, of course, Holmes is saying he's going to take his hand behind his back and fight him. But that's not the problem that I got with that post. That is not the problem that I've got with that post. The problem I've got with that post is, and let me step back a bit. I'm in Arizona. I started in radio, a terrestrial radio in Arizona. And I started in terrestrial radio by doing an adult-oriented comedy show. You can kind of figure that I can do that type of show, that adult comedy type of driven show where I'd have comedians on. If they weren't funny, I had to pick up their slack. So I had to be funny for them. So that's how I can get some kind of wacky humor going on once in a while, right? So I met a lot of musicians. I started doing shows after I started doing the adult-oriented comedy show. I took about a year off and I started thinking about, I want to get back on radio again. But what can I do? I'm a musician, so I thought, you know what? I was a musician in the 70s. I played for 10 years. I was a performing musician. We played down the beaches. It was a cool gig. We made pretty decent money. Pretty decent money, by the way, does not mean that you could afford a house. I was living in an apartment then. I was living on the beach. I was partying at the beach. I didn't have the financial requirements that I've got now. So when I say I was a successful musician in the 70s, I was a successful musician in the 70s with a car. I had this same car down in the garage now. I have a 76 Trans Am. I still have the car. I took the heel marks off of it from having girls in the back seat. So I got the heel marks off of the back seat. So, but I still have the car. But the bottom line was I was a musician and living in an apartment, all right, which was a nice apartment, but it wasn't what so bottom line is I used to be a musician. So I decided to come back to doing radio to help out my fellow musicians. So I had a lot of musicians. I think I did a count at one point. I think I had 5,000 musicians on my show when I was going through that terrestrial radio on multiple stations and finally doing a podcast show and doing all the shit that I did. 5,000 bands were on my show. The majority of them, probably about 60% were from Arizona. Probably 30% of them were from the East Coast, Philadelphia, New York, Pennsylvania, and New Jersey, that area. And about 10% of them were focused on just random wherever they happen to be. And I think Brian's joined here. Brian Anderson sent me some bands. I think he sent me one from Russia, in fact. And Brian was on my show. He's a guy that's involved in bands. I think he was a producer of some bands or an agent for some bands. You can ask Brian what he did with them. But cool dude, he was on the show. So I helped out bands, right? One of the musicians that I never had on the show, by the way, was this guy, Tom. I'm not going to give you his last name because if I do, I'll probably get blocked. This show may get blocked anyway because someone's going to determine this is a hate show. And it's not. This is a show where I'm talking about someone who's hating on somebody else. It's not me hating on them. It's me pointing out how people are hateful. All right, so here we go. So this musician, by the way, Tom, is a great musician, by the way. He's a great musician. I saw him perform on YouTube, especially lately, because now we're all locked in. So I saw him doing some concerts remote, and the guy is really good. In fact, at one point, I think he had a problem that he fractured or sprained his wrist. I remember this pretty clearly. And when he did, actually, it was interesting because I had broken my finger. This finger here, I had a tendon broken in it. It's actually kind of straight today. Unbelievable. Usually it's bent a little bit. But I was playing beach volleyball down the beach in Long Beach. And I actually got what's called a stump finger or something like that, which is called baseball finger. It's called a bunch of stuff, but you get something that hits your finger here, and it bends it to the degree that it breaks the tendon. And I broke my tendon in this finger, and I was all panicky because I thought, oh shit, I won't be able to play the guitar anymore the rest of my life. Now, fortunately, I can bend it today. It's perfect. I can play the guitar. There's no problem. This other guy, Tom, actually had a problem at the same time I did, so I started talking to him about, we're both guitar players. My God, we got our hands all messed up. I hope we both heal. We talked to each other. It was kind of cool to have that relationship. And since then, I've seen him perform. He does some jazz standards like Wes Montgomery. Most of you people don't know who he is. Wes Montgomery is a guy never read music, never studied music, but he's a tremendous performer. Wes Montgomery, a long time ago, dead, passed away. One of the guys that took over for Wes Montgomery and plays tribute to him is George Benson. You may know him a little more. He's won some Emmys, or is it Emmys or Grammys? I forget. Grammys are for the music. You would think I'd know that doing a music show, right? But I believe he was, I believe he won Grammys for that song Masquerade and that whole album that included Masquerade. George Benson went more from a jazz performer with the guitar to a vocalist doing more pop stuff. So whether you believe he sold out or whatever, but tremendous guitar player as well. Plays honor and tribute to Wes Montgomery. This guy, Tom, plays Wes Montgomery and George Benson pretty well. I mean, really well. Extremely well. Now, he gets on, as a lot of musicians do, and a lot of people that are in entertainment, and they've got to get their political minds out there. And I get it, and I do periodically as well, except I'm not really supposed to be the entertainer like they are. So I can come on and cover topical stuff like I do periodically. Periodically, I've been doing stuff on the coronavirus. So I've been doing topical stuff periodically, all right? Now, this is what I got. I'll read what this guy, Tom, posted. Now, he took this wherever he got it from. The Larry Holmes, forget Jerry Cooney, I want to fight Trump. He took that, posted it on his page, and I read it. And here's the guy. I do have his name on here, so you got to see his name, I guess. Let me roll this up a bit. And he says, and I'll read it, and this is the part that really irritated me. And I'll tell you why it irritated me, and I'll tell you why it should irritate a lot of people. Tom says, it would be deliciously ironic to pay my stimulus. Now, with stimulus checks, by the way, supposedly went out to a great many people. $1,200 for single, $2,400 for a couple, and if you have children, it was $500 each child, all right? So you know what the stimulus is, right? Whatever you want to call it. So he says, it would be deliciously ironic to pay my stimulus, Trump signed check, because Trump wants to sign the checks now. That's a kind of crazy thing to hold up checks to get it signed by Trump. So I don't really appreciate that move. It's kind of a stupid move. I don't understand that one. But Tom says, it would be deliciously ironic to pay my stimulus, Trump signed check, to watch him get punched in the face repeatedly. Get punched in the face repeatedly. Now, you know, that part of it, I thought I could handle the Larry Holmes comment. I could handle all of that. I could also handle, it would be deliciously ironic to pay my stimulus, Trump signed check, to watch. If it ended with that, to watch the fight, which would be probably a little gimmick to raise money for the coronavirus victims or whatever they were going to do, whatever the mode of operations would have been for this staged fight, this little gimmicky thing to raise money in support of these people that are suffering with the coronavirus and suffering family loss of friends, family that have died of the coronavirus. But he doesn't end there. Check to watch him get punched in the face repeatedly. So now I got to say this. And now you see me again, right? This is my point on this. This is my point on this. Exactly my point. On this, I pound the table. Like that guy wanted to punch people out. I want to pound the table. This is my point. You know, a lot of people said that a lot of people when Trump won, you see them on TV, they were crying. They were hysterical out of their minds. Now, why did Trump win, first of all? He won primarily because everyone was tired of the bullshit and the fucked up people in government that had mishandled the whole situation. Republicans and Democrats, we're sick and tired of both. We saw Trump as someone who was Republican, but not really. He was there to fuck things up in the government, to just knock heads around and just make people accountable for their bullshit, their total bullshit. He was more of that than Republican or Democrat. He's not a typical Republican, obviously, and he's obviously not a Democrat. He was there to knock people's heads off their shoulders for being complacent and for being douchebags. That's what he got elected to do. Whether you are a Democrat, I don't understand why Democrats hate him so much, because he's a different person than has ever been in that office. Completely different. So he's there in the office, he got elected, and then you see people on TV crying their eyes out. They're sad, they're all this. And then you have people out there who say, oh, he's not my president. You know what? He is your president, all right? And you see people disrespecting him, putting a D in front of Trump, and you got Dump there with a DTUMP, or some people just take the T off and just call him Dump. You see the total disrespect for a guy that you don't want to admit that the guy has built some success. And then people all say, well, he went bankrupt. You know what? a lot of fucking people go bankrupt, right? It's part of the law. If you don't like it, then you know what? You get your ass in government and have that system all changed, all right? So that there is no bankruptcy because you're the guy that took the bankruptcy and threw it out the friggin' window, all right? If you don't like it, get in government and change it, all right? It's something that exists. It's something that can be utilized. It's something that I've never utilized. I don't want to utilize it. I don't think I would ever want to be that person to declare bankruptcy and foreclosed on my debtors, or, you know, I've got to pay bills and now here I don't have to. I can pay them pennies on a dollar. I don't like that idea. Trump did it. I don't like that perspective. But you know what? It's a tool out there to be used. It is out there to be used. And you cannot really fault someone for utilizing what they could utilize in business. This is before he was president. You know what? This is something that he did before as a businessman. This is his business life. This is his presidential life. This is his business life. He did what he had to do to succeed. I'm sure he was a total prick to his competition. I'm sure he ran them down. He ran them over. He flattened their asses. It was like playing that game where you have the animal pop up and you smash them down. Another animal pops up. You smash them down. That's what business is. If you want to be competing at that level and you don't want to have a 401k, well, not 401k. You don't want to have that, what do they call that? Non-profit. You want to be a profitable organization. You want to hire people, get those people paid, get them paid the money that they deserve to do the job that they're doing. And you know what you're going to do? You're going to smash your competition to smithereens. And you're going to use every obstacle that you can to block their asses and every tool you can use to better your business. That's the way it is when you're in business. So a lot of people say, you know, Trump went bankrupt the casinos. By the way, supposedly, if I read correctly, he sold those casinos before they went bankrupt. And the Trump name remained on them because I guess the agreement he had was to keep the consistency of the name and the name recognition. They were able to retain the name Trump. Just like a lot of hotels, you know, you see the Sheraton is sold. It doesn't switch to Hyatt until some months later because they just wanted to, for some reason, it doesn't matter what the reason, it was Trump on the building, unowned by Trump, and then there was bankruptcy. And everyone's all over his asses for those things. Everyone's all over his ass for every single thing. He, whether you like it or not, and a lot of people don't like it, he is your president. And the other thing is this douchebag here, Tom, who comes up, and I'll roll it down again, he says, it would be deliciously ironic to pay my stimulus, Trump signed check, to watch him get punched in the face repeatedly. Now, you know, if he wrote that on Trump's Twitter page, there might be people knocking on his door to see how violent this guy is. It's stupid to say that, by the way. First of all, it's stupid and idiotic to say that you want to see someone get punched in the face repeatedly. Isn't that stupid to say that? Can you believe, if he typed that on Trump's Twitter or somewhere where someone in the social service is going to see that, or whatever you call those, if he posted that, you know, people might knock on his door and pull him out and say, let me do it. I got a search warrant. Let me see what you got in your building here. Let me see what you got to see how serious you are into committing violence, potential violence, or wanting to witness the violence of someone getting punched out repeatedly. He didn't just say punched out. He said punched out repeatedly. You know, and it's just a total disrespect. And the reason I say it's total and complete disrespect is this. First of all, he is your president. I should angle this up a bit. First of all, like it or not, he's your president. Next time he's in the next election, you know what? You don't like him. You didn't vote for him, probably. I'm assuming you didn't vote for him. You know what? Don't vote for him again. And if you have enough people that don't want to vote for him, then you know what? He won't be your president next time, and his ass will be out of there. And then you can see this guy loving on the next president, the president of the United States. Maybe Tom will love the next guy, and he'll just continue to hate Trump for the rest of his life, or the rest of both of their lives, all right? But here's the point. You know, when you talk about, you know, how would you guys, you know, take a shoe, and take Trump's shoe and put it on your foot. Even if it smells as bad as my foot does, because I don't have odor eaters. And by the way, I got a hole in my sock. I gotta get this sock sewed. I got a sexy foot, don't I? But the bottom line is, you know what? It's not. How would you like to have that job? How would you like to be in the position of Trump? Could you handle that? Could you handle that stress, that daily stress, that daily complication of doing that job, and to have someone eat away at him? Could you see yourself in that job? And how good do you think your ass would do in that job? How good? And by the way, it's not just Trump that you're disrespecting when you say shit like that. It's not only him. Who else is there? We got people in finances behind. We got the IRS guy back there making these stimulus checks work. So all you guys get paid the $1,200, the $2,400. I wonder if Tom got the $1,200 or $2,400 if he's married. I have no idea. I don't think anyone should tolerate him being a husband to some woman. I can't believe this guy. I used to like him too. I used to be his friend. I knew he was politically opposed to my political viewpoint, but I try not to block anyone just because they think differently than me. Now, when they get under my case now, especially now, the entire world is in trauma. Whether it should be in trauma or not is another program. Whether you think we should have shut down the total economy at all, or if you think we should have shut it down sooner, or you think we should have shut it down later, or you think it should be opened up now, or you think it should be opened up on May 1st, that's not tonight's program. My program tonight is, all right, so you have someone here disliking Trump, wanting to see him get pounded out by Larry Holmes multiple times, repeatedly. That's what the guy said. And he's picking on Trump, but you know what? He's just not picking on one guy. When you think about the disrespect of this guy, Tom, towards Trump, it's not only him, it's the financial guy behind him from the IRS. It's the doctors there, the two doctors, Fauci and what's the other girl's name? Deborah, I forget, Bricks, or I forget her last name. She's there. You see the vice president there. You see the companies that are putting their product and their services on the dotted line to help out creating masks and all this stuff. You got, for instance, General Motors. You got 3M there. You got all these corporations helping out. Well, there was a presidential mandate for them to step in because they weren't doing what they needed to do to help out. So there was that mandate. I forget what it's called. But there were a lot of companies just stepped up without being asked to. They just volunteered their services. So not only do you have Tom here picking on the president, but you got everyone behind him. That entire, what did they call that? The whole team there. What they have a name for that? Response team, whatever it is. Sometimes my mind eludes me when I'm trying to talk quickly. You got total disrespect for Trump and every single person behind him. Every single doctor, every single nurse who's busting their asses to help out this situation. You get a douchebag out there who just doesn't like Trump, but it's not an isolated thing. He doesn't like Trump. He obviously is saying that he doesn't like the whole way the situation is being handled, but it's not being handled only by Trump. It's being handled by everyone you see behind him and everyone that you don't see behind him, that are the doctors and the nurses and General Motors and 3M and the pillow guy, by the way, who had the nerve to go out there and talk religiously. I'm not a religious person, but if he wants to come out and talk religiously, to be vocal to the religious group out there, so what? Let him do it. He got criticized as well. But you get this idiot, Tom, out there, who's just nagging on the president when he doesn't realize, and I realize it, and anyone that common sense should realize it, it's not just President Trump, and by the way, he is the president. It's not just him he's picking on, that he wants to have punched in the face multiple times, repeatedly. How about everyone else there? How about the people behind him that are advising Trump? Whether it's accurate advisement or if it should, you can make your own determination on that as well, because there's question and answers to be on that. The bottom line is, what a total douchebag, and I blocked him. So whether he's listening tonight or not, I don't really care. I just got fed up with him, which is too bad. A great musician, hang on. A great musician that I like his music a whole lot. In fact, he was playing at what was he playing at? One of those places you go and buy groceries, open market. You go there, what do they call it? Farmer's market. He played at a farmer's market, and he had a live stream going. And I watched his live stream. You know what? He was tremendous. One guy playing. He has all the equipment, obviously, to have the back. He plays a chord, and it's looped. He had that going. He was playing some great stuff. I mean, really stuff that I wish I could play. He's a teacher as well. Music teacher, music performer. And I think someone wrote a news article in Arizona about him. You know what? But how about we take the political bullshit that he's got onto, and now we should write articles about his total political bullshit where, you know what? It's not, when you talk and you disrespect, and someone said, including him, he said, I was just joking. You know, when you put up something like this, is this a joke or is this inappropriate? And I'll read it again. Tom says it would be deliciously ironic to pay my stimulus, Trump-signed check to watch him get punched in the face repeatedly. Isn't that a disgusting thing to say? Isn't that really a disgusting thing to say? So disgusting that I blocked his ass. I blocked his ass, and someone else said, including Tom, said, you know what, I'm joking. And he stands behind what he said. I'm glad he said he stands behind what he said. And I'm glad he said he thought it was a joke. It's not a joke. It was. I don't think it was a joke. It was very distasteful, very disrespectful to everyone who's trying to help out this situation to the best of their ability. That includes Trump. It includes Pence. It includes Dr. Fauci and the other Deborah Bricks or whatever her last name is. It includes the IRS guy that's talking up there. It includes the pillow guy. It includes General Motors. It includes 3M. It includes every single nurse, every single doctor, every single fire. It includes everyone that totally disrespects. What a total douchebag that I don't even have to hear. I would never go to see this guy perform again. And anyone that sees this and they know him in Arizona, I'm not telling you to not see him anymore. It's up to you what you want to do. But I'm saying you're not going to see my ass there. Absolutely not. Because I liked him. I liked him. And it's too bad that I liked him. Now I don't like him. Now I disrespect him. See if anyone's got anything to say here. Coronavirus Task Force. Thank you for giving me the wording there. I abhor politicians, but I love Trump. That's what Kathleen says. And you know what? You don't really have to love Trump. This is not a love or a hate of Trump. The guy is in this position. He was elected legally. And some people are going to say, well, he lost the popular vote, but it's not the way it goes in the United States. It's the Electoral College. Get over it. If you don't like that, you know what? Get into politics and change that along with anything else that you want to change. All right? If you don't like that, get into politics and try to change it. Work your magic to change the shit that you don't like, all right? So you don't have to like Trump. I'm not expecting the people don't like Trump. I don't like everything he says or does. Of course, I'm not that stupid to be brainwashed and just taking one person and everything that they got behind him, every piece of baggage, and just saying, I love 100% of this guy. I'm not that stupid, all right? But the guy is president. He is in a traumatic situation, one that is super stressful. You can hear now when he talks, his voice is shot. His voice is really, you hear the difference between when he first started the first Corona Task Force meeting. Thanks for that. His voice has changed now. It's tremendously stressful. It's a volatile situation. It's a situation that changes every day to keep on top of it. It's a situation where he's got to meet every one of these single people. You see him on TV for an hour, 2 hours. You know what? That 2 hours is there. After that 2 hours, there's an intense discussion with all those people and more. The governors and the mayors, all these people are all involved. And to have one total douchebag bombard and dislike Trump to the point that he wants them to get in a ring with Larry Holmes and have it and be punched out repeatedly. What a total douchebag. Like I said, if you don't like Trump, that's fine. A lot of people don't. And he even admits a lot of people don't. Obviously, the media doesn't like him. A lot of people don't like him. And if you don't like him, then you know what? Don't like him, but do not go against him in this time of a critical moment in the history of the world, not just the United States, the history of the world. We're going to rag on the guy when it's not just ragging on him alone. He's not up there alone. You see the people behind him. You see the companies behind him, General Motors, 3M. You see the doctors and the nurses behind him. You don't see them physically behind him, but they are there in spirit. They're working to solve this crisis. He sent those ships there, the Comfort, to New York City to help out that situation. He's done a lot. And to have you criticize him when could you do better? I doubt it. I doubt you could do better. You could do a hell of a lot worse. You have these total douchebags. What does everyone else got to say? I used to play at the Trump casinos in Arizona, in AC rather. They always comped me really well. How about that? That's what Mike Johnson says. To be at Trump's level, this is what Corin says, You have to have balls of steel and be able to crush your opponents. Exactly. Everyone doesn't like Trump because a lot of people don't like corporations. They're all against corporations. They hate corporations because a lot of people, I've said this before, a lot of people that struggle, they're struggling, whether they're struggling on their own because of their own stupidity of getting in these situations. Another thing that happened a couple days ago, I think it was, someone was talking about the stimulus package, the $1,200, and said that I hope everyone gets it to help out their situation. And someone got on there, I forget their name, and they're talking about all the shit that's going on in their lives, and they need the money. And they're living paycheck by paycheck. You know what? There are some people that are financial ruin because of situations they could not control. But there's a lot of situations that people could control, and they just decided not to control it. For instance, and I said this before on one of my other broadcasts, that I remember the first time in the early beginnings of this, when the schools closed and the kids were not going to school. So they're not going to public school, or I guess they're getting, what are they getting, free lunches? I forget. I don't remember that far back, all right? But they're going to school and they're getting lunches. Now all of a sudden the schools are closed. And I remember it was on my Ring device. This little device I got here for home security with video cameras and all that. And there's an app on the Ring device. I've talked about that Ring device enough before, but there was someone on there in our neighborhood who said, oh my God, my children are not going to go to school. How are they going to eat? How are they going to have lunch? You know what? If you have a child and if you can't afford to give them the basic survival elements that they need a home of safety, they need a roof over their head, they need a roof over their head that doesn't have a hole in the ceiling where when they're sleeping in bed, they're not getting drips on them where it's going to accumulate at the bottom and create a moldy situation in their bedroom. They need safety. They need security. They also need to be fed. They need to be clothed. This is what you get when you have a child. When you lay in that bed horizontally with your husband in bed horizontally and you're underneath and he's on top and you're having a baby, does a thought process go into your mind before you're in that situation where you don't have a condom on? Do you ever think about, if we're living paycheck by paycheck, don't you look it up at that guy's face as he's ready to have that orgasm face and push him off and say, you know what? We can't afford this child yet. Let's wait until there's more security. Yet now they couldn't even afford to have lunch for their child when their child didn't go to school. You couldn't afford that. And I got on the Ring device. I said, you know what? My wife and I, before we even adopted our first dog, we made sure that we could afford the veterinarian bills, food for our dog, and we made more of a logical decision for our dog that we rescued from we adopted our dog from an animal rescue. We made a more intelligent, logical, financial decision than some of these idiots who are out there now saying, oh my God, I'm living paycheck by paycheck. I can't afford to even give my kid lunch now that he's not in school. Did you ever think about this possibility? Oh, okay, should we have a child now? Should we have 2 children? Should we have 3 children? And we're going to have 3 children because at the end of the year when we do our taxes, we get money back from the government because we got 3 children. Did you ever think about what's going to happen if there's a financial crisis or something that's going to impact your lives where your dependence on everyone else is going to be a situation that you need to have everyone else help your ass out because you didn't help yourself out? Now, like I said, there's situations where you can't control it. Maybe a young married couple, they're doing pretty well. They got about 3 or 4 months saved and all that. They got their first home. They're not living above their means, by the way. They're not showing off to their next door neighbor that they're living in a house that they can't afford. They're living at or slightly below their means so they can survive without the stresses on that. And now all of a sudden, crisis hits, those people can survive. They planned accordingly. They planned appropriately. They took safety in the fact that they could secure their child's safety, financial, and stability, and be able to get them lunch when their kid can't go to school. And you have these other idiots that did not have a disaster that impacted them, like didn't have a situation where, oh my God, my husband was a police officer. He was killed, and now we're suffering. There's reasons where you could suffer this situation. I'm not saying every situation is not your fault, but I'm saying that there's a lot of faults out there of idiots that did not utilize their brain in their head because I think liberal education does not teach you at all the abilities of self-survival and ability to manage your life. They don't teach you any survival skills. Someone from the UK is calling in. This is Dave Darren on the Dave Darren Show. Who is calling in, please?
Good morning, Dave, my friend. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing okay. Who is this, please? This is Omar?
It certainly is, Dave. It's been a long time.
Yes, it has. You sound different. Your voice is a lot more sexy, by the way. Sexy voice. What have you been doing? Are you working out, bulking up, and now you got like Schwarzenegger muscles and all that, and the voice drops?
Tell me something like that. Yeah, I've been on my sexy vape and my nice Chinese green tea, but that's about the only Chinese thing I am purchasing at the moment.
Yeah, I wonder if this is going to impact China, especially if we find them to be at fault. What should we do? What should we do to China?
Well, it's a horrible situation we're all in, aren't we, really, to be perfectly honest?
Oh, yeah, it absolutely is horrible. Did you?
And I'm talking about the reality of it as opposed to, I mean, I thought I'd call in because A, I haven't spoken to you, my friend, for a long while, and B, I sort of picked up on a few things that you've been posting today, and I completely agree with you. Don't you think, well, we should be grateful that we've actually got a system that is there to back us up, because if you look at certain other countries around the world, and this is, again, you can look at it in two ways, Dave, what you've been saying about people taking responsibility for their children and all that, but at least they've got a system where they've got something to fall back on. Now, I believe most people in the US are going to be getting this $1,200 check at some point to help them through, yeah?
Yeah. Now, by the way, you're in the UK. Are you getting any stimulus package at all, or what's going on there financially?
Well, I must say our government and the Chancellor and Boris and everything else, they've been really, really good. They're really trying to make an effort to ease along people. I work in the tourism industry. My job is worked on his arse for about 8 weeks now, even before we got into this lockdown scenario. So, yes, it is. People I feel sorry for are sort of middle tier or smaller business people, Dave, because they may not recover.
Right, yeah.
They just may not recover. And this is what I'm noticing now, is just today I was reading that since the last month and a half, Amazon, Jeff Bezos, the article about Jeff Bezos, I can't remember if it was in Financial Insider or one of those financial articles I was reading online earlier on today. Amazon made a $24 billion profit within the last 6 weeks, more than what they did last year in the same period. So somebody's doing that, aren't they?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And you're right, because I know that some of the companies that manufacture product, if you think of it, I'm sure Lysol, the company that makes the disinfectant that you can put on your hands or on your table, I'm sure Lysol's making a ton of money. Whoever owns that, I think it's Procter & Gamble, I think, owns that product, and I'm sure they're making a boatload of money on that product. Now, they make a lot of other products that may be not being sold as heavily, and maybe they're being damaged. So there might be a medium for Procter & Gamble, but you're right, there's companies out there. I'm sure Amazon, because Amazon is the place that you don't have to physically go to buy product. You order online, so people are utilizing that online service to get their product delivered to their home. So I'm sure they're doing quite well.
I mean, I've been keeping sort of fairly good tabs on what's been happening around Europe and the US and Canada, and I'll tell you exactly how it is here in the UK since we've had 3 weeks now, 3 weeks and a few days, we have officially had a lockdown. So in that period, the only stores that are allowed to be open are the supermarkets, for example, you know, your Tesco, your Morrison, your Sainsbury's, all the big supermarkets, local amenities and grocery stores, which have provisions, pharmacies, they're open, fuel garages, you know, so you can go and get gas. They're open. And just generally, that's it. Even with your medical doctor now, we got a huge clinic where you've got about 16 doctors that sit there, 4 separate practices under one roof. Now, they're telling you that basically, if you need an appointment, you need to ring them up twice a day, as you would do, but you're not allowed to come in unless it's an extreme reason that the doctor needs to see you. And otherwise, you're going to have a telephone consultation. But I'll be honest with you, beginning to find a little routine going on with all this now. It's not been easy because it's just such a shock to the system. Luckily, you know, where I'm staying at the moment, Dave, I've got a fairly decent 100-foot backyard, you know, with a little shed at the end, a built shed with electricity and a fridge and a freezer in there, and I can go and have a few beers in there if I want. We are literally allowed to go out for one bit of exercise every day, so I'm very grateful. It's quite a big park, literally about a 2-minute walk opposite from where I am. But, you know, people are just acting very strange, man. Some days you'll see a load of idiots there. Yeah, it's a nice and sunny day. We've had some really nice temperatures. It's gone back a little colder now. But the last weekend was our first public holiday of the year. And the year was the previous weekend before it was hitting 18, 19 degrees, which is very warm for this time of year. And not the weekend gone, but the weekend before, it was like certain massive parks in London were physically closed by the local municipal councils because there's like these assholes going out there, 300-400 people in a park having a sunbathe and a picnic and a barbecue. You know, this ain't a frigging holiday. This is some serious shit going on. You know, if you're unlucky enough to catch it and it affects you in a bad way, you're not walking out of this one. Do you see what I mean? So whether you believe it's, I've got a lot of opinions of where I think this came from and all the rest of it. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about the self-preservation factor part of it. And you're still getting these assholes who are going out there thinking, oh, it's just an extended holiday, you know, well, we don't have to work, we can just go and get a load of beers. Listen, I sit in the back garden last week and I had a tribute to somebody who I know personally that passed from this
oh, really?
COVID-19 thing. Yeah, she was 36. She just no physical ailments, no nothing. Huh. She was with somebody on Friday. Now, this girl here, her name is Cher. Basically, I've known her for many, many, many years, 20 plus years. She was an artist that used to make sort of those different types of bits of artwork out of play and do that sort of modelling and painting type of stuff. And I hadn't seen this lady for about 5, 6, 7 years now. I've been out of touch completely, and it just got to hit her up on Facebook a few weeks ago, 5, 6 weeks ago. And she does an artwork thing on Twitch. And she sent me a picture, sort of a video of her painting up all these things that she'd made up out of clay and pottery bits. And I just thought nothing of it, you know. I thought, oh, when I get a bit of time, you know, obviously I'm thinking I'm going to be starting work again with my seasonal job.
Uh-huh.
And then suddenly, out of the blue, it was just the news was announced. A few people started posting that she suddenly passed away. Now, obviously, we don't still know the whole details of what happened. But this is my point. I've got my suspicions because they're putting a lot of things down as testing positive for COVID-19. It doesn't necessarily mean that the cause of death is COVID-19.
Right.
This is my problem with it.
Yeah,
I don't know. I ask your opinion. If somebody's just passed away and you're having a weekend memorial, I may put the link on for the group if you want to listen. There's going to be a load of music going on from Friday, Saturday, and Sunday all day long. Various DJs, various types of music, and all it is a little get together and a remembrance and a tribute. It's also a fundraising thing. I mean, like I say, at the end of the day, I do what I can while I'm not working. But going back to what I was saying is, I didn't want to launch on that platform, the angle that, well, how do we know it was? Because I think that would be highly rude to do it on that stage. But in the back of my mind, I am thinking,
yeah.
Is it or isn't it? Was it or was it not?
Yeah,
But
yeah, I do it. By the way, your phone is horrible today. Usually your phone's crystal clear, but it's breaking up quite a bit. But I understand what you're saying. You're right. In the United States, I've even posted some articles about this situation where some people, supposedly what's going on, whether you can, it's hard to understand what's really going on because you read an article, then you got to read another article, and you got to read a third article, and you have to read 10 articles before you can figure out what's really going on because you can't trust one authority at all. But I've heard some back and forth critique saying that, if when you have the coronavirus and you die from it, if you die from, suppose you had a heart problem and you died of the traditional heart attack, and they figure out that you had the coronavirus in your system, even though you had it in your system, but that wasn't the main cause of death, they're marking it down as coronavirus related. So whether that's fair or an accurate projection or not, it's kind of skewing the data in the direction of bringing up more coronavirus victims than might actually be victims of the coronavirus itself.
Yes, I'm sure, but I'm in no doubt. The thing is, again, Dave, you've got to realise one thing, that the last 3 weeks, let's say, when this major lockdown has been in full effect, it's just so surreal that we can go from normal everyday life to bang, this being our normality and reality. Now, I'm not going to mention a certain bandwidth on a certain upgrade of communication system that's going around, because these idiots here and there, algorithms will pick that up straight away, and they'll probably take you off for saying it. But does everyone understand what I'm talking about when I say certain bandwidths of an upgraded communication system that we're all part of?
Oh yeah, I got you. I know.
I don't want to mention the name of it. There's a number and a letter involved, and does everyone understand what I'm talking about? I'm sure.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we sure do. Yeah, it's like,
yeah, we do. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like when you play. I'll give you a little hint if you don't know what we're talking about. It's like when you play poker and you play Texas Hold'em.
Yes.
How many cards do you have there in your hand, right?
Right.
Or here's another way. Here's another way to remember more clearly. I'm sorry. If you're watching porn and you're whacking off with one hand, how many fingers are on your hand, right? Oh, you broke up. I lost you on that one, didn't I? You haven't whacked off recently?
Sorry, I don't. No. That probably. The thing is, tonight I'm on my cell phone. I've got a new set of headphones that don't have a mouthpiece on them. They're a good set of earphones to listen to music on. But I'm actually having to talk into my phone's microphone as it happens. But I did think I'd call in because I haven't called in, and I'm actually up tonight, and I'm not on the verge of going to sleep. Now, I'm not saying it's that, but since I was diagnosed as a type 1 diabetic 6 weeks ago, my patterns are a lot more regular, meaning I'm up every morning from 7:30 a.m. I have my breakfast. So because I'm up earlier, like as if I'm working, that means by the time it gets to midnight, even if I'm off, I often get very tired and I just fall asleep anyway.
Yep.
So that's the reason is I'm thinking, there's a couple of times where I've stayed up and I thought, I've got half an hour left till Dave Darren's on over the last few weeks. And oh, bloody hell, I've woken up and it's daylight and I'm like, my neck is all crooked and I'm like, oh shit, I missed it again.
Omar, let me ask you this question now. Since you've been diagnosed with diabetes, type 1 diabetes, right? That diabetes is one of the things that's called a pre-existing condition that could make you vulnerable to the coronavirus.
Right.
So are you more worried about being isolated because you have a condition which exposes you more?
Well, do you want to hear some real woo-woo stuff now? Give me a second. I'm going to go down and get another cup of tea while I'm here.
Okay,
so you can stay with me while I'm here.
All right, that's okay. So, yeah, we're talking today.
No, that's fine.
Oh, okay. You're going to continue talking. While you get tea, you're going to continue talking. Okay.
No, go on. Good. I'm just... Shall I answer your question which you initially asked me quickly, then you can give that little bit? I've probably get a lot now, so...
Okay, yeah, I forget what the question was that I asked you, so refresh my memory.
About me being since diagnosed as a type 1.
Right.
And that only came... Do you know how that came about? That came about because I went to a workplace-related medical doctor, not my own medical doctor, about 5 weeks ago now. And I had one of those little tests where they prick your fingers and put it onto a strip on a machine. And she had to change the machine 3 times because she thought there was a fault in the machine. When I actually got the medical doctor, she said to me, "I'm sending you straight to the ER." I said, "You can't send me straight to the ER." I said, "Please, I don't feel anything wrong." She goes to me, "Sir, your blood sugar level is 4 times what it should be as a normal person. This isn't even like a type 1 thing." So she's asked me all these questions. Are you feeling like you want to go for a pee more? And are you drinking more? Are you thirsty? Are you feeling this? Are you feeling that? I said, "I'm feeling nothing of the sort. I just feel perfectly bloody normal."
Wow.
So she said to me, "This is very strange." Now, cut a long story short, I spent 5 days, 4 nights, 5 days in a hospital, A&E, and then the intensive, the AAU, which is when you come out of intensive care. It's where they look after you. So they had me up to an ECG. I was on a drip for 2 days, saline and insulin. And then in the end, the nurse gave me my diet sheet and instructions. So I'm basically on tablets and insulin. But to be honest with you, with diet control, my blood sugar is in the parameter now. Now, you want to hear the scary thing. I said earlier that it's very difficult to get an appointment or to speak to my actual MD. This happened this week. Now, he said to me, "I haven't seen you for about a year and a half. How are you?" That's the main guy that runs the place, the main general practitioner, Graham. So I said to him, "Doctor, I'm a bit concerned because your new number 1, Dr. Mahendra Raja, very nice doctor, great lady, but I never met her before. I went to see her in the middle of January. I came back from doing my tour work, and this was over Christmas and the New Year period going into the beginning of the year. And we worked, like I say, when I'm out on tour, you're at hotels, maybe 400-500 people dining on a buffet-style evening meal. Then when you're on the long-distance coach, taking them to all the resorts and attractions or places of interest, 49-50 people sitting there. And I swear to you, during that period, this is where it dovetails into the whole thing we're talking about. I came back and I could hear a few people really coughing like they're dying. That bad. You know, when somebody's got a horrible cough and you think, "Oh shit, I better not go near them." Well, obviously, when you're in a close proximity, my last day of work, I left something. I went from York back to Liverpool, which is a journey of about 250 miles. And then I had to go all the way back to the northeast of England. So it took an almost like a 400-mile journey in the day. And I swear to you, by the time I dropped these last people off, I felt like, you know, you think I'm coming down with something bad. The back of my nose and my throat, it felt like Freddy Krueger's got his claw, scraped it all down. I never felt anything like that before in my life. When I was swallowing, it was burning. So I got a couple of hot cups of coffee, stopped off somewhere and got them. By the time I got back to the northeast of England, which I had to stay overnight because it was my last day at work, I checked into the Holiday Inn, which I was booked in. There's a dude sitting there that works with me. So I said, "Listen, man, I need a drink because I am screwed. I feel awful." And he said to me, "Oh, come on, let's have a few beers." So I had a few beers with him. Then I decided to go to bed. I swear to you, Dave, I woke up about 3 hours later, 3:30, 4:45 in the morning. My T-shirt and my shorts that I was wearing for bed, you could wring them out in the sink.
Oh.
They were that soaked with sweat. My duvet, I was shivering like like I've never done for years. And I'm thinking, what the hell's wrong with me? So luckily I carry a little pharmaceutical bag with me with like maybe some couple of Vicodin type things and, you know, paracetamol based things. So I took 2 of those and I went to the reception and said, "Look, can you just get me a litre of orange juice?" She goes, "You look awful. Are you all right?" I said, "Look, I'll be fine." So I had to get up because the thing was I was getting a free ride back to London. Otherwise it would have cost me £120 in a train. So I was at the point where I thought, to hell with this, I need to spend the whole day in bed.
Yeah.
But then I thought it's going to it's going to cost me an extra day hotel and 120. So I got there, and literally I made it on there. Again, for my job, I always carry this hand sanitizer with me. So I was putting it all over my nose, and I took the front seat on the coach, and I said to the driver, listen, I feel a bit under the weather, so excuse me if I sleep. And I literally, Dave, all day long that day, I felt like somebody had run over me with a bus. All my body was aching. Now, this is where the bad part comes in, Dave. I get back to Canary Wharf in London, where they were all staying, and the driver goes, come in and have a drink with me. So by this time I come round a little bit. Still got an hour or so's journey on the underground train, and then a 15-20 minute walk back. So I'm not home yet, but I'm in London. So I had a couple of glasses of red wine with him, and he bought me a large brandy. He said, have that if you've got a cold. So I had some brandy, hot water and sugar last thing, and I got back. And the next day again, I just felt so shivery, so awful. I couldn't move, just literally water and paracetamol. I couldn't eat for 2 days. And then suddenly, about 48 hours into it, the third day, the cold had gone. I just had a couple of bit of sniffles and sneezing. Oh. But then started coughing the following morning, Dave. I was at the sink. Where I'm staying with the family, we got 3 bathrooms. Ground floor, first floor, and up top. Yeah, so I stay in a room that is on the first floor when I'm staying where I am, and I was coughing my bloody guts up, but nothing was coming out. You know, usually when we get a bad chest infection, and I smoke as well, so there was none of that crap coming out. It was just I was straining myself, and then. If I lay down for more than an hour, it felt like I was drowning, literally, my lungs. And I kept going, like trying to get the shit out of me. It just wouldn't budge. Dave, this went on badly for about 5 days. And I just thought, I'm just not. Yeah, straight 5 days it went after that. But the symptoms went. No more sweating, no more temperature. But this cough would not go. Especially at night when I lay down, it felt like literally my lungs are filling up. Now, I didn't know what the effing hell was wrong with me. I just thought it was a very, very bad case, a very bad flu I've got. It happens, but I haven't had something like this for 15 years, that bad. Dave, on the 10th day, I couldn't take it anymore. And my car, it is described as a dry, horrible cough that just won't budge. So I rang my medical doctor. She says to me, okay, sir, come in this afternoon. So on day 10, after describing when this first started, I went to see my GP, and she gave me a Ventolin and a brown inhaler. I don't have asthma, but she said this can clear your lungs, so take 2 puffs of this, the blue one, and then take 2 puffs of the brown one, but don't do it more than 3 times a day for a couple of days, and don't keep using it all the time. So if you need it, use it. You keep on taking the paracetamol to take the bodily pains away. Now, I coughed so badly, my rib cage felt like, if you've ever had a really bad cough, it's the musculoskeletal thing. It's because the coughing reaction is your ribs get bruised and your muscles around there ache. But I don't take anything with brufen in it because that's not very good for you at all. Anything ibuprofen based. Right. Going back to what my medical doctor said to me this Wednesday gone, he says, oh, well, when did this happen? I said, middle of July, February. So he said, when did you go for this medical? I said, probably about a month afterwards. He said to me, you never had any condition like this before with sugar. And he says, believe you me, I'm suspecting you've already had this.
Yeah.
COVID thing. Because your symptoms, and he says the thing that got to me is that when it causes, it can affect other parts of your body, damage-wise, yeah? And he says your immune system might have taken such a batter of it that it's brought this on suddenly, because that's the only thing that I can say, because you weren't pre-diabetic, you didn't have any symptoms, and it just came on, and it falls within the time period.
Wow. So
That's a scary thought.
you think that the coronavirus stimulated you to come positive for having?
Right, I haven't been tested for it because, again, as you know now, one of the biggest problems we have here is the first responders and the frontline staff are the ones that should have to test, and they're only testing people in there if they're in a really serious condition.
Yeah.
So they're not testing; they're testing them at the point of going in. They're not giving you the retro test, which means the retro test will tell you if you've ever had it before, any antibodies are in the body. So unless I ask, I will be seeing my medical doctor again. But I don't want to go into the practice this week,
Right,
because
right.
we are supposed to be reaching the peak of the curve tomorrow and the next few days.
I'm supposing.
So I don't really want.
I'm supposing those antibodies stay in your system forever. So if you get tested 3 weeks from now or 2 months from now,
Yes, they will. Yeah, they will.
Yeah, but
I'll just give you an example.
Yeah,
If
but
you've ever had something called a HPV infection, which can be, it's genital warts, right? That's a condition. If you've had a HPV infection, right, it's called a human papillomavirus, and I've been doing a lot of research. If you've had that, when you get the warts, you go and get them either lasered off or they freeze them and then they go and then you're not infectious. But they will be able to tell via a blood test that whether the virus has been in you. So yes, they have got that type of test for COVID-19, but they're not using that on people at the moment.
Right. Well, I think one of the fears is that once they start testing people to see if they have the antibodies for the virus, or one fear is that they're going to start giving out these cards to say that you are infected, and now you're no longer going to get the virus again. There's a little scary situation. They're going to make sure that when you go to work, you carry this immunity card, and it's going to be like almost human versus human. It's almost going to be like to get your next job, you're going to have a resume and immunity card to get your next job. There's a little bit of fear I've heard recently about that. Did you ever hear about this? Did you hear about that?
I certainly did, and also the fact that certain people like Mr. Gates and other people in the WHO and certain other people are pushing that agenda through exactly again. What I don't want to do, Dave, is I love your show, and I'm fully aware, as all the listening audience are, of what kind of crazy draconian measures and steps that are being taken to shut down free speech in not only this country, but in yours as well, and generally the whole civilized world, which is, I don't believe we're civilized anymore. I do believe we are going like the Chinese society now, because this is what you were going back to. My fear is not my fear. They want that. The more control they've got on you, the more they can monitor you, and the more beneficial it is for the governments. And it's not just the governments, it's the powers that be. We can start going down that road where there's this whole New World Order agenda. I'm a believer in that because I've done research into it, And again, you're starting to get a differentiation between people that will try and even accept that things like that are going on, to the other ones that will just barefaced turn around to you and say, oh, you're a nutcase, you're a conspiracy theorist, you're crazy with this. Are you really? Yeah, because I'll tell you what, that same thing, this totalitarian system that's coming, you'll be under it just as much as I'll do. Then keep screaming and shouting. When they start taking your children away from you forcefully, or your wife because she's got something, and you were the one that was mocking people, yeah, I feel sorry for those sort of people, because they're all, you can't reason and explain to them, but they're going to, when they really get to feel the full force of the boot George Orwell talked about. What did George Orwell say about the future? Didn't he say something? I'll paraphrase the quote. If you want to see what the future's going to be like, it will be like the boot of totalitarianism pushing down on your face while you're on the ground. We're there now, Dave. We're there.
Yeah, it does seem that way. I believe you're correct. And actually, it's funny, I did a show about maybe like last week, the end of last week, where someone was saying, this is a great time, because they were referring back to my UFO paranormal show. They're talking about it's a great time for the aliens to invade us, or they thought that this home, staying at home, this social distancing was an opportunity for aliens to come and invade. But I said, you know what? I don't really think that's the case. I think it's all about control. It's about governments trying to figure out if they can actually control us because they want to take control. For instance, right now, in the United States with Trump out there, Trump is actually for the people. The people put him in there, and a lot of the liberals and a lot of Democrats do not like the fact that now people have a little...
I'm seeing that.
Yeah.
I'm certainly seeing that going on. And the thing is, again, I'll say one thing. I had no opinion about President Trump when he first came in. I was a bit sort of taken aback that he actually went there. But again, like any human being on the world, and this is just how I am, I don't agree 100% with what everyone does in every single way, and I may not like certain things that they do, but on the whole, I'll tell you what, I've never seen in my lifetime so much hate and abuse for somebody in a bona fide position as a head of a country, of their country. You may not like his policies, you've got an opportunity every 4 years to vote him out. Why don't you just leave it for the 4 years when it comes up to why all this crap? And every step of the way, I've just seen the same people that are talking about that are going to benefit out of this scenario of this one world, new world order, one world government, totalitarian state. They're the same people that want to take President Trump down, in my eyes, because he's not part of their plan. He never was.
Right.
Now he's there. They're trying to, the way I see it is the dark suits. They're like, oh shit, he's in there now, so what can we do? Well, let's make life as difficult as physically possible for him without taking him out, because if we took him out like we did JFK, then everyone would know our game would be over. But we got to make his life so difficult. At every step, we got to discredit him every so much way. We got to call him everything under the sun, which is not true.
Yeah,
that's what it is. It's a concerted effort to bring the president down.
Yeah.
That's treason, man.
Yeah, you're right.
In my eyes,
yeah, you're right.
That's treason.
Yeah,
The people should be
Okay, Omar, I do have to cut you off now because I do have a deadline tonight, so I do have to hang up in the next couple of minutes. So before I do, I want to close the show out to the rest of my audience. So, Omar, let me thank you for calling into the show and sharing your story with me. I'm sorry to cut you off, but I've got no choice tonight, okay?
Thank you, Dave.
Okay, cheers, man.
Thank you. We'll speak soon, and good night. Cheers. Thanks, Dave.
Okay, cheers. All right, guys, so to close the show out tonight, I'll show what I was talking about earlier, and we got into a lot of topics there with Omar, but I did want to bring this up, again. Today I was reading this article, and I'll post this, and I'm going to get really briefly and quickly into it to close out the show. But I found this article today from a gentleman, Tom, and I'm not going to give you his last name, although you can see it on the screen. I'll pull it up again. You can see his name. He's a musician here in Arizona, and I happen to be in Arizona. I happen to really like this guy's music. Someone posted this, and he forwarded it on. He shared it, in other words. I wish he would share my show because I do a music show, and he's a musician. I wish he would have shared my show instead of sharing this article. But this bonehead Larry Holmes has been punched in the head way too many times. He goes on, he says, and Larry Holmes is like 70-some years old. He says, forget Jerry Coney. I guess they're going to do some kind of a fundraiser, whatever they're going to do. Whatever they were going to do, they can't do it now because of social isolation. But Larry Holmes says, forget Jerry Coney. I want to fight Trump. And I thought that was okay. That wasn't so horrible a thing to say. Was it comical? It depends on your point of view, what type of comedy you tolerate or don't tolerate. So I was okay with that. Then I get this guy, Tom, who's a musician in Arizona, who used to be a buddy of mine on Facebook, who's no longer. I blocked his ass because I just found this a pathetic thing to say. The first sentence was, the first sentence I could handle. It says, I would be deliciously ironic to pay my stimulus. The stimulus check is the $1,200 we got in the United States. If you're following us from another country, we got a stimulus check, whatever you want to call it. If you're a single person, you got $1,200. Couple, you got $2,400. Social Security people, I'm not sure where they are in the system, but a lot of people that have been working file their taxes 2018, 2019, depending on how much you made. If you made too much money to qualify for this, then obviously you made a lot of money where you should have saved, so your asses should not be in a pathetic situation where you need a stimulus check. But stimulus check came out there. So this guy, Tom, says, it would be deliciously ironic to pay my stimulus, and he's talking about the Larry Holmes versus Trump fight. He says that he wants to have his Trump signed check to watch him get. He wants to pay to witness the fight between Larry Holmes and Trump. He wants to be there, surrender his $1,200 check that he got or will get to watch him, him being Trump, get punched in the face repeatedly. So I said this guy is insanely jealous, upset, angry, hostile. And I said earlier, my wind's running out today because I got to go out with my dog. But when I saw this, I commented to the guy. I said, what kind of a douchebag are you? If you don't like Trump, and I can understand that, I can understand not everyone likes him. Some people hate him beyond anyone else that they've ever hated in their entire life. But he is your president, despite the fact that a lot of people say, he's not my president. You see the people that were crying during the elections when he won. That night you saw people on TV crying their eyes out. And at that point they had toilet tissue that they could use to dry their eyes. They're out there crying and sad because he won, and then they're saying, oh, he's not my president. You know what? He is your president. So he demands, or he should demand, and he should expect a certain level of respect because he got there. He wasn't entitled to being your president. He earned being your president. He worked hard at it, whether you disagree with his business practices. And some of you have said, and I said this earlier, you didn't like the fact that he declared bankruptcy. I said, if you don't like the bankruptcy procedures in the United States, then you know what? You get your asses in there, and you get your asses into becoming someone who can change it, whether you become a lawyer and try to do it, a senator, congressman, so you try to change the bankruptcy laws. It's a tool out there to be used by people that are in business. Trump was a businessman, now he's a president. He's your president right now. When you disrespect him like this guy Tom did, this musician who I no longer respect, no longer followed, I blocked his ass because I find him to be pathetic in his anger and his hatred, his intolerance to not just Trump, the vice president who's out there busting his ass to try to keep people alive. He's got Fauci out there, and he's got Deborah Bricks out there who's out there busting their asses, gathering as much statistics and accuracy as they can on a daily basis because everything changes day by day. You got Cuomo out there, you've got the governors, you've got the mayors of cities, you got the police department, the fire department, the doctors, the nurses. All of those people are behind Trump. So when you focus your angry, hatred ass in a direction of Trump, put yourself in his shoes. Could you, Tom, do anything better than he's done? He's got the people out there behind him. He's got the people participating. He's got the corporations out there that are donating their product and their services to help out the people that need those products and services. And you get these lame-brained, idiot musicians out there and entertainers and actors out there that just feel like they are the brains of the whole world when they're the guys they must be on fucking acid trips because their brains are fried. So that just pissed me off today, and we got off tangent with that. I started off the show with a more angry personality than I've got now because I got to get out. I got to walk our dog right now. So I thank you guys for joining in. And if you're in Arizona and you're a fan of this guy who's a great musician, by the way, but he's a total douche. I knew he was not a friend of Trump. Yet him and I got along okay because we could tolerate each other in our different political viewpoints. But when you get out there with the hostility and the anger, no matter what president was involved in this, they deserve you to figure out, if you were in their shoes, what kind of stress do you think this guy has? He's got the right people behind him to help him out, to make decisions, and here you are bashing him. It is pathetic. And as a result, I blocked him and one other guy who got online and they said, it was a joke, Dave, lighten up. If you find this to be a joke, that you want your president to be in a boxing match with Larry Holmes, and you want to donate your $1,200 check that you got from your stimulus, and you want to donate that to buy a ticket to watch Trump get punched in the face repeatedly, if you figure that to be a joke, you know what, then you are not a joke, you're a douchebag. That's all I got to say. I said too much tonight, went on too long. But there we go, guys. That's all I got for tonight, and I will see you guys what do we got here? Someone said, here we go. Another guy said, now, why are we commenting on this? Richard Groper, who I actually call Dick Groin Pain. This guy, Jason, mentions he is the law. You know what? Today I'm sick and tired of bullshit. I really am. So this guy, Jason Callan, I forget how I do this in chat. But I want to block your ass because I don't want to hear that name, Richard Groyper. So I'm going to get him. Let's see. How do I do this? I think I hit these 3 little dots. I might have to do it afterwards because I forget how to do it. And yes, I did block Dick Groin Pain sometime back. Oh, here we go. I'm going to... see, I think I have choices here to either... Jason, I would like to... I'm not going to report you because I'm not a lame prick who reports people. I could remove your comment, but I don't want to remove your comment. I want to remove you from the ability to make future comments because you're total bullshit. Let's see. Put user... hide user on this. I'm gonna hide you, all right, and see if that helps. This user messages will be hidden. So I might have just censored your ass because I'm sick of time. I censored today this idiot Tom who put this hateful message out there. He wants to see Trump's get punched out repeatedly. I blocked him. I blocked some other guy who said, "Dave, lighten up. It was a joke." It wasn't a joke when you're saying you want someone to get punched in the face repeatedly by a professional boxer. And this guy, yeah, forget being there, said Richard who, right? So Richard, that's what I want it to be, Richard who. So that's all I got for tonight because I'm lingering on too long. I gotta get out with my dog and walk it. Friday we're gonna do a show. It's gonna be really fascinating. We're gonna get Brad Mercer on it, and we saw some stuff on Brad Mercer's video that look like these orbs. Remember I used to do the UFO paranormal show, and we talked to Jazzy Ed about orbs. She was out there on a boat with her boyfriend. The boat ran out of power, whether it ran out of gas or something happened. It's almost like the guy wanted to be with Jazzy Ed in the car where the car runs out of gas. He's in the lake with the boat. Something happened. They're sitting there, and then suddenly these orbs appear. And Jazzy Ed was telling me about that situation. Now we've got Brad here doing a great video, an emotional video, and he sent me some video that looks like these things are orbs. So he sent me the video. What I'm going to do is I'm going to slow it down, portions of it, and I'm going to try to see if I can figure out what it is. And together when we join the show on Friday, it's going to be a paranormal type of show reflective of what I used to do before. We're going to study the video. We're going to study the slow motion and some of the pictures that Brad has taken, and we're going to study it together. You guys tell me if you see something that I missed, if you see something that Brad missed, if you see something that the professional videographer, director, and producer of the video missed, because he's going to be joining the show as well. We're going to see if we can figure out what it is, or we're going to see if we can figure out if it is something really spiritual and paranormal related in this video. Because if when you see the video, you're going to say this was an emotionally capturing video. It was deep ingrained to the soul and to the heart. And if there was ever a visitation by a well-meaning spirit or an angel to be part of that video, part of that visualization of what the best humanity is, that would be a moment which would capture a spiritual visit. So we're going to try to see if the video captured that moment. And the interesting thing is that the music video that was shot by the director, producer, and videographer shows none of that orb. It's isolated. We don't see it in the music video. We see it in two of the cameras, the cell phone cameras that two people took from opposite sides of the performance stage. We see it on one camera, we see it in another camera. So we're going to understand this, and we're going to try to evaluate it together. It'll be an interesting show to try to figure out what is going on in this video and in the capturing of the cell phone images. We're going to try to study it together. For tonight, guys, I got to get out. I got to walk our dog. He's probably, hopefully he hasn't crapped or peed on the ground here. I'm sure he hasn't. He's respectful. He's more respectful than this guy Tom was talking about Trump. So that's all I got for tonight, guys. I'm running out of steam tonight anyway. I got things to do. I will see you guys on Friday. Ciao, guys. Got to find my closer. I got to move it so you guys see the closer video.
Check
sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.